have more reform institutes for these people that, they so-called crackheads, or, they may not be crackheads as well because they may have other problems with them. But we should find more institutes, more reform outlets for them. And not only that, that we should find agencies that will also educate them. Educate them in getting a job. Educate them how to budget their money, how to clothe themselves, how to take care of themselves, how to be more responsible in finances. Because basically, a lot of people that is on welfare or are drug users or comes out of prison, they don't know all these things. So they should also be, other help out there for them. But as far as welfare, basically, I do agree that there should be a limit on years, and there should be like more transition programs basically out there.
Well, it's always been my strong belief, ever since I got into public policy making, that you should always give a hand up, not a handout. I think it's criminal to make someone dependent on getting free money from government without requiring them or even teaching them how to sustain their own families. I took in a homeless family earlier this year, and she was someone that was so used to being on welfare. Her mother was on welfare since she was a child. She went on welfare. Government never required them to get a job, never required them to save money, never taught them how to take care of their families and sustain themselves. And so after 40 years of taking advantage of the welfare system, she was in shock when we cut it off. One of the things that I worked with the governor when she first got elected was to deal with this problem. We really, again, felt it was criminal to not teach people how to take care of themselves. And so we changed the welfare program in Hawaii and made the requirement just a few years that you can be on welfare as long as you prove that you are making an effort and you're going to classes and you're sustaining a job. Government will help you in other ways, but you need to have a time frame to get off of it. It should not be something that's for life. And so this woman was so in shock that after 40 years that our government taught her to basically be someone to sit at home and do nothing. She was paranoid. And so me and several other people in Eva Beach and a lot of the churches, we got together and got her into workforce development programs that the governor helped to create. And so that's something that I think that we're already doing and we need to continue to do. Thank you.
As the Vice Chair of the Human Services Committee at the House of Representatives, I have to agree with Representative Pine that the current administration is doing things that would help the welfare people. There are two initiatives that I would like to pursue in addition to what's going on. One is the fraudulent use of Section 8. Section 8 is when unwed parents or mom get subsidized housing. And I would like to institute unsolicited visits or unscheduled visits, because a lot of those have really a man that's freeloading in the household. And when the social worker makes an appointment to go see them, they pack all the man's goods, put them in the garage, pack all his shoes, they clean the refrigerator, so that when the social worker gets there, he sees an impoverished household. I think that's fraud to all of us. And the other thing that I would like to institute is residency requirement to receive welfare funds, because other states are sending their homeless to Hawaii to enjoy our beautiful weather. And I think that's unfair and unjust to us who pay taxes in our state. I know it's an initiative that's difficult to pass because all those welfare sensitive people would come and attack the state capitol. That's what I was told. When we require residency requirement, that those people from other states that come to us, if they receive welfare here, the state where they came from or who bought their ticket to come to Hawaii should pay their first 6 months of welfare funds. I have started, okay, great. So I think those two things will bring justice to the people of Hawaii. Reform the Section 8 initiative and institute residency requirement for a homeless and welfare recipient. We should stop all the other 49 states and buying one-way ticket to Hawaii, so they can come and sign up for welfare the next day that they come. And also on inmates, all those people coming out from jail, they're coming to Victory Ohana to enjoy our tax money.
The issue of welfare reform, I remember President Clinton at the Congress tackling it. And since then, they've done quite a job with the states involved as well, as far as welfare reform is concerned. However, many of the things that has already been said should be continued, I believe, as far as the residential requirements, providing scholarships for single parents and others, looking at mentorships, internships, mandatory training in terms of basic living skills as well as job skills. But we also need to look at why people are on welfare. And in many cases, you are looking at individuals who may be high school dropouts, or individuals who have had to leave school because of pregnancies or drug problems or abuse problems. So I believe we need to look at prevention efforts as well, so that we can make certain that our children are thoroughly educated and they have the skills necessary when they finish high school so that they can be productive members of our society. And if we can look at this from all perspectives, prevention and then the treatment aspect of when a person is in welfare, I think we could improve it. However, at this stage, the system is being improved. It is working, helping those that need it. There is abuse in some cases, and the state government, I know, and the federal government is looking at those abuses. Thank you.
How would I reform welfare? Affordable childcare, affordable housing, life-sustaining skills. If you'd asked me this question 6 months ago, I might have given you more of a tough guy answer. But every Saturday at the McKinley Community School for Adults, where I run free programs, I've spent the better part of this year working with folks who are in the state's Department of Vocational Rehab program. These are people living in shelters. These are people who have had every bad knock happen to them in life. And until you're a single mother or a single father trying to make ends meet, trying to get an education, trying to go to work, it's very difficult to pass judgment on the character of those people who turn to our government for need. Affordable child care. There are states like North Carolina that have piloted great programs whereby charities offset the cost of affordable child care. The state can play an active role in this. Affordable housing. There was a great article in the paper just yesterday where Senator Bunda discussed the community land trust legislation that passed this last session, whereby a community land trust can, for I believe it was $5 an acre, purchase land that can be used for affordable housing. This has to be built upon. Life-sustaining skills. I recycle thousands of computers, and it is the folks that I work with at DVR, and more recently, the folks at the Next Step Homeless Shelter in Kaka'ako, that I've realized recycling our computers, building computer classes around the hope that is thrown away every day is perhaps a cost-efficient way. Because if you look in the eye of someone and have confidence and faith in them when no one else has, you don't realize what difference you can make.
Thank you, candidates. The following question from the community present this evening. What is the #1 priority for Ewa Beach? And start with Mr. Alexander. No, Scott.
It would be criminal if I said anything other than traffic. It's our #1 priority. Traffic is solved in ways other than more roads, traffic solutions. We need to be focusing on the construction of retail and office spaces on this side of the island. We can't see the talk of Kapolei as a second city continue to be just that, talk. We can't spend every day watching that next plane load of tourists fly in and hope that there's enough money on that plane to sustain our economy. It simply does not work. We have to take a strong look at economic development in Eva Beach. With the installation of a free wireless network at the city and county park across from Campbell High School, the first completely free wireless network in all of Hawaii, we're beginning to plant seeds, new ways of thinking. What happens when you telecommute? What happens when you utilize this little tool called the internet and video to participate in your job or to call on your customers without clogging our roads? We don't really know what happens because we're only just now starting to challenge our way of thinking and accepting that somehow or another a work week includes 15 to 20 hours in your car. It simply does not. So traffic's the number one issue, and there's no free candy. And there's no way to make hollow promises. And it's not fair to piggyback on the work of others.
The answer is traffic. The same answer when I ran for office 4 years ago as your state senator, traffic. And the solutions are widening of Fort Weaver Road, which will be completed in 2008. We had some problems with the contractor and vendor, that's why it was delayed. Second solution is the North-South Road. It has already broken ground, it is being constructed, completion date, end of 2008, the North-South Road. With the widening and the North-South Road completed, you will see significant traffic relief on Fort Weaver Road and a second way out of Eva Beach. And if Mayor Hanneman has his way, the rail system will break ground in 2009. The rail system for Oahu is so important because connected to the rail system and the transportation issue is jobs in Eva Beach, as Scott just said, economic development. Government is the biggest employer in the West Oahu region. Between the state office tower, Kapolei Hale, the police station, the regional police station, the regional library, and now we will look at UH West Oahu, which will be a major economic engine. And imagine UH West Oahu connected to UH Manoa via a rail system. It's going to be an incredible, incredible project. And we have a court system, a judicial complex, $90 million that we have put away for this in Kapolei. This will also create jobs. So the transportation issue will get resolved, but I tell people, please be a little more patient. And when we continue building on the Eva Plain, we have to have much more connectivity with the roads. We can no longer have one road in, one road out. That's why Eva Beach and Fort Weaver Road is a mess right now. So connectivity in the whole region, from Kapolei to Waipahu to Eva Villages, is so important. And I know that parties and stakeholders are looking at this. Thank you.
Every elected official has their own strategy and solving the traffic. My strategy was, after I got elected, I made sure that I get into the leadership position at the House of Representatives, that I'm present in their closed-door hearing, in their closed-door meeting, so I can protect the interests of the district. With much lobbying, I was able to be an assistant majority floor leader. And the whole time I gave it the North-South Road. I didn't have to mobilize the district. I didn't have to tell everybody to call the Finance Committee because that money was promised to me way in the beginning of the session. That's why I was so relaxed. And I was so assured that North-South Road funding will go through. Now, my current initiatives, like I said earlier, is to make sure that I coordinate with the mayor as far as protecting those cane hole roads. I'm constantly writing to the city and county that the Mango Road be used and be open, be kept as the main thoroughfare to go to West Oahu campus. Otherwise, we're going to impact the Kapolei Parkway, the North-South Road, And we need to continue working with the city and county. That's my strategy. Because now we have to protect those tributaries. We have to keep them working on making sure they get mobilized. I wrote a letter to the mayor about a week ago as far as straightening Park Road to go all the way to Farrington Highway. We need that connector.
Of course, traffic would be my top priority. But within that, my top priority would be providing the full funding to fast-track UH West Oahu to get done in 2 years. Upon its final completion, there will be over estimated 10,000 cars will be taken off the road to town. That's a tremendous amount of traffic relief. In addition to that, pushing for more jobs, more state jobs, more federal jobs, more private jobs to be pushed to the Evelyn Kapolei areas. And that can be done, especially with tax incentives. It needs to be proposed. And in the House of Representatives, I'm on the Finance Committee, a very key committee, and we fully funded the fast tracking of UH West Oahu with over $200 million. And unfortunately, that was lost in the Senate. And we didn't know it was a problem in the Senate, and it was lost forever. But I definitely know that we can get it in the next time around. We do have some promises from some senators and House of Representatives members to make it their top priority as well. I do have to respond to my kababayan, my friend Rita. The North-South Road was in jeopardy. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. If it was promised to us, why did every single leader refuse to put it in writing and tell the people of Ewa Beach that we got it? Why did they make us wait? I'm sorry, I guess I'm just a little cynical after 20 years of being promised things for Ewa Beach and 20 years being taken advantage of. I guess I wanted to fight for it until the very end, and it worked. We do need another access road out of Ewa Beach, and I am working on another access road along Pearl Harbor with the Department of Transportation and the federal government. We do need to widen Fort River Road. No excuses this time, now that the corruption is out. We do need the North-South Road done, and I'm going to watch every single part of that project to make sure it's done on time. And most importantly, we need more ferries, and we need connectivity from Ewa Beach, Waipahu, and Kapolei. Thank you.
Okay, talking about the North-South Road. Can you guys hear me back there? Yeah. Okay. Okay, as far as the North-South Road, this was planned many years ago. As far as, I believe more than 20 years ago, okay? 20 years ago, I mean, Ewa Beach been put on the back burner. Ewa Beach always been put on the back burner. And that's what really upsets me. North-South Road should have been built before any development even came to Ewa Beach. The widening of Fort River Road should have been done before Gentry started their development. I mean, I'm so sorry to say, but whoever was the senator at that time, representative, just didn't follow up on these issues. I mean, and now the people who comes and move to Ewa Beach, buy these beautiful homes, pays more than $500,000, and gotta suffer through the traffic. This is not being fair to anybody. I mean, even existing residents, new residents, this is not being fair to anybody. I feel they should start the North-South Road tomorrow. I know they had plans of starting the North-South Road and Fort River Road at the same time. I think that's a very bad idea. I think they should start the North-South Road immediately, open up a three-lane going out of Ewa Beach, and once the North-South Road, is completed, then go ahead and widen the Fort River Road. Also, in doing that, they should have other alternate plans on how to get out of Ewa Beach. Thank you.
Well, you know what my answer is. You don't, you haven't been here. It is nice to have a consensus on this dais of everybody saying, number one is traffic. I've been preaching that for 16 years. Brings a tear to my eye. Where you guys been? Now, Senator Sparrow's been in office 7 years. Wasn't. I'm losing my voice. I've been campaigning. And He's been in office 7 years, never was his priority. He could have pushed for it. I will push for the transportation projects. However, the second worst problem, and it's real close, is ICE. It's a lot worse now than 4 years ago when I helped form the Weed and Seed program. Just last month or two at the Ever Neighborhood Board meeting, I asked the policeman in charge of the Weed and Seed, please set up your observation at night. Like to get this guy that just drove by twice with his loud muffler. They used to do that. They'd hear it, they'd go get him, they'd ticket him. He said he'd get back to me. He said at the neighborhood board, well, the number one priority is the keiki. You weed out the criminals, then you seed with the keiki and everything. The group that took over the Weed and Seed project is just pushing for parties for the keiki, do everything for the keiki. We need to get back to what it means. Get the druggies off the road, we'll have a nice neighborhood. Okay, I got it. Thanks.
Thank you. At this time, it's been historical that every time the neighborhood board has an all-committee meeting, that everyone present has an equal vote and say. At this time, what we're going to do is by show of hands, everyone here. Would you prefer that the answer period to the candidates be shortened from 2 minutes to 1 minute? If you'd like to see 1 minute, raise your hand.
Right here.
Okay, we're going to 1 minute. Here we go. Kurt, with the next question, please.
We can get out of here.
The question is from the community, what have you accomplished to qualify you to run for legislative office?
I got the microphone. I've been telling you, I've been doing it. I've been filing lawsuits, injunctions. I'm not afraid to stand up for what's right. I'm not afraid to stand up for the developers or the unions. I'm a union carpenter. I had an interview with the teachers union a few weeks ago. I told them what's wrong with the schools. I told them I don't care if I get your endorsement. I'm going to do what's right. I broke the news on the Upper Villages story. I coordinate 10, 12 beach and road cleanups a year. The other beach, Ohana, which I'm chairman, won the Campbell Estate COA Award, and we get 1 minute. After 16 years of being active cleaning up, we won the award. Thank you.
Okay, what I have accomplished to qualify me for this particular position is I've been doing a lot of the senators' work. Basically, not all, but every time there's a knock on my door, people would come and complain about whatever it is. I would call the state, the city. I would even call Kimberly. I would leave message on Senator Espero's phone to give me a call. I don't get a call from him. So I end up doing my own legwork by taking on my own vacation, taking time off, and try to solve as much problem in Ever Beach as I can. I've been doing this for about maybe 3-4 years now. If I'm elected, I can guarantee you that I will definitely be focused on every issue that we have in Ever Beach. Thank you.
To prove that you can do this job, you have to deliver what you say you're going to deliver. When I ran for office, I said I'd fast-track the Fort North-South Road. $110 million was put in the budget to fast-track the North-South Road. $265 million is coming to help Ever Beach. That's more in the history of Ever Beach in one term. I said I would help the schools. It was a disgrace that teachers and students did not have good facilities. Every school in the district, for the first time in history, will get funding from the House of Representatives. I said that I would fight career criminals, and we passed the 3 strikes law, sweeping legislation to get tougher on crime. I said I'd help the homeless, $50 million to help them get off their feet, and help the poor and the middle class, $50 million in tax relief. And I'm just beginning. I'd love to have 2 more years of your time. Thank you.
I've always said that there should be diversification in the legislature, that people that work there should all come from different walks of life and have different experiences that would relate to the district. As a nurse, I'm a member of the Healthcare Committee and a vice chair of the Human Services Committee. Healthcare is a major issue in our state. I'm also a lieutenant colonel in the Army Reserves, and I kind of feel that that gives me a broad overview of life and how they deal with the veterans and the military and have sensitivity to the population as a whole. I was able to get broad knowledge with my 18 years as a military officer.
My record speaks for itself. I've lived here for 17 years. I was a representative for 3 years. I served on the neighborhood board in many community organizations. I've been your senator for 4 years. And in these 4 years, you have seen the projects that have come to this district. Eva Beach Elementary School has a new classroom. Campbell High School, new classroom we funded this year. Lima Intermediate, full classroom renovation, widening North-South Road, Fort Weaver Road. These do not happen in 1 year or 2 years. These take time. And I'd like to wonder and see that $265 million appropriation for Eva. Thank you.
I have changed our Department of Education, and I have improved our credibility with other legislators. People told me years ago when I began my charity and began recycling computers we donated to the DOE that they'll never go for that. You can't change the DOE. Who are you Yahoo Scott, to come in here and try to shake things up? 4 years later, I've introduced to our Department of Education industry-recognized Linux Plus certification. I've shown them how we can use the very computers you used to throw away to build hope for our children. And earlier this year, when some legislators were grandstanding on misinformation, I went to Senator Taniguchi's office, the person who actually did put North-South funding into the Senate budget, long before you were falsely called to arms, and made sure he understood that most people in Eva appreciated his placing the North-South funding into the Senate budget.
Thank you, candidates. The next question. Can the infrastructure, specifically the wastewater treatment plant, and available potable sustain the growth in this area? What percentage of the available capacity are we right now? Would you like me to repeat the question? Can the infrastructure, specifically the wastewater treatment plant, and available potable sustain the growth in this area? What percentage of the available capacity are we right now?
I can answer that because I'm involved. I don't think
We're going to go in order, and the order is with Mr. Belfort.
I do not know at what percentage we are at capacity of our wastewater and freshwater handling capacities. I do know that fresh water will continue to be an issue on Oahu. And to that end, I have long believed that we need to begin looking at a desalination plant on the Leeward Coast, owned and operated by the Hawaiian people, so that as we plan, not for next year or the year after, but for 10 years from now, we begin to take the necessary steps to be certain that whether global warming is real or not, we always have fresh water. Should our oceans rise and encroach on our freshwater aquifers, our economy and our island is ruined. So while I don't know what percentage of capacity we're at, I do know that we have to think now about larger projects and desalination, or else we'll be stuck.
My understanding is we have enough fresh water and we have enough capacity in our sewer system to take care of the additional growth in West Oahu and the Kapolei region. The biggest infrastructure problem, as you know, has been transportation and schools. But this whole area is slated for growth and development, more homes, and they're currently going through a drainage plan from Upper Makakilo all the way down to the Eva Plain. And all stakeholders are involved, cities, state, developers, and there is enough capacity at this time. Thank you.
There's a development in Eva called the St. Francis Development Corporation. They're building some homes there. So I took the time to write a letter to the city and county and ask that question specifically. Do we have enough sewer capacity for this particular project? And the answer was yes. Do we have enough water to support this project? And the answer is yes. So I'm proud to say that I did answer that question. I did seek for an answer for that question.
Well, wastewater is a city issue, but I'll attempt to answer it. I do believe that we are reaching our capacity, and we do need to really look into funding another wastewater facility for this area. There's going to be massive projects, businesses, a shopping center, and I don't believe that our current facility is big enough to handle the problem. And so I'll push for our council member in our city to push for that for us people in Eva Beach. Thank you.
Okay, Kimberly spoke for me, I'm sorry. I do agree with Kimberly, because what we have right now can basically hold whatever we have existing at this time. We would need another facility like that somewhere around here, so we could go ahead and improve, serve the new homes that is coming up in the near future. Right now, the capacity, I would say, is up to its limit. I mean, basically, I would say it's up to its limit. I don't know, but now this particular question that came forward, I will go ahead and double check what's the capacity, just for my own information. Thank you.
I've been involved with the sewage. We filed lawsuits at the plant. It's running 80–85%. It is being planned on kicking it up to handle all the sewage. We will not get a new sewage treatment plant. They will keep expanding it like they do Sand Island sewage treatment plant. I'm with Hawaii Thousand Friends, Sierra Club, Save Our Surf. We watch them. We watch the city, not just at this plant, but the others, because we go fishing and swimming out there. We should get our sewage treatment plants up to tertiary treatment. They're at secondary right now. And they are building another water reclamation, which they tore down one that was putting out 400,000 gallons of fresh water a month out at Campbell Industrial Park, and they tore it down. Just like the wind farm, they tore it down. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. The next round. This question is redundant. I'm going to pass it to the chair of the board. If he concurs, we'll pick another question. Last session, there was a bill for computer recycling. What is your view on that bill? The last one to speak was Mr. Alexander. Please commence.
Well, my wife and I have donated many computers to Scott and his cause. We try and recycle. I'm tired of dumping them down How Bush. But yeah, we gotta recycle. I mean, that's all there is to it. Throw those questions away, Mr. Chairman.
Anything for recycle that we can use, I would accept. Computers, bottles, anything. As far as this particular question, I would just agree and recycle computers, basically. Thank you.
I was for the bill, I supported the bill, and I also donated some money to Scott to support the bill.
With a limited source for dumping, it's been an issue with the city and county. We have closing down the dump site. So any attempt to recycle, computer or otherwise, I'll support it, and I did support that bill.
I also support the bill. I believe we should have island-wide curbside recycling. I'd like to see these vending machines plastered and put all over shopping centers. I'd like to have Foodsland, Star Market take back bottles and cans. We need to do a better job in recycling here in Hawaii.
I was astonished when I moved here 6 years ago to find that there was almost no computer recycling much less recycling in general. Obviously, this is a great question for me because this is the world in which I live. Keeping waste out of the gulch and restoring hope to our children. And every day that a computer finds its way into our landfills, we throw hope away. And I believe this firmly. I, of course, supported that bill. When I learned that it existed, I went down and testified, my first testimony ever. I am convinced that one of the greatest opportunities we have to build an economy independent of tourism is through recycled and repurposed computers. And I have spent an awful lot of my time and an awful lot of my home equity sustaining a charity to build a vision that does something different with the technologies you throw out today.
It was Scott that wrote that question.
No, I did not.
Thank you, candidates.
It would have been a good one. Thank you.
This question is, what are the 3 most important issues facing Ewa Beach? If you recall, audience, we did receive a question earlier that said, what is the most important issue? So if we can move on to your second and third priorities, and then it asks, and what do you plan to do about it? So again, what are the 3 most important issues facing Ewa Beach? You've already answered what your top priority is, so bring it down to 3, and what will you plan to do about it?
Obviously, number 1 is traffic, and I had the chance to address that. Affordable housing and education are the next 2 biggest issues. I don't know if any of you dug through the numbers in the paper regarding how our schools here did on the achievement tests most recently. It's encouraging because we're improving, but it's concerning. What will I do? Housing. The solution for affordable housing is turning over state agricultural land to development. Last session, the community trust for land was a good first start. We build on that should I have the opportunity to win your vote so that we can make it affordable for developers to provide property. That is affordable, not only to buy but to own. Education, technology, innovation. The more computers we get in front of our children, the sooner they can start solving our problems in exceeding standardized test scores, not just barely meeting them.
This is a difficult question to answer in 60 seconds. We've already discussed traffic. So the other 2 issues are housing and education. Housing, I will be introducing legislation if re-elected to land bank up to 2,000 acres in the state of Hawaii. And this will allow for future generations to work with developers, nonprofits, federal government, to make certain that there is a land base for our children to buy homes, because at the rate we're going now, it's going to be very difficult for them to afford $600,000, $700,000 homes. On education, I support lower student-teacher ratios, higher teachers' pay, bonuses for excellent teachers, high-tech schools, air-conditioned schools, making our principals accountable, and I believe that we need to look at the Board of Education and see how they can do a better job since they're directly working with our schools. Thank you.
Since I already got 1 minute, let me get at it real quick. Well, my number 2 objective here is protecting homeowners' rights and protecting our interests. I spend a lot of time walking the district, and I know that there's a lot of homeowners there that have complaints versus their community associations. And so it's built on equity and fairness to the homeowners, and also protecting their investment by making better police patrols so they don't get burglarized, and beefing up the city and county and protecting those homeowners. Oh, 30 seconds. Coordinating with the police force, that we have enough adequate police in our community so we can decrease the amount of crime in our houses. And again, writing legislation to give fairness to the homeowners on how they can be represented in their association.
Of course, the number 1 issue was traffic that we addressed earlier. And my second issue that I want to continue to fight for is to get more of our taxpayer money to the classroom. Did you know that the Department of Education budgets has doubled for the same amount of students. Their staff has doubled for the same amount of students, and our test scores are the same. Do you know that I'm the only elected official that has fought for 90% of your taxpayer dollars to actually go to the kids in the classroom? Teachers know how to spend our education money better than an administrator that's getting paid twice the amount of the governor. Teachers know how to better spend our taxpayer money for the kids. And of course, the third would be affordable housing. I want to get a homeless shelter in Kailua for our friends and families who live on the beaches of Ewa Beach. And I do want to get more monies to continue the hard work we've done on the housing committee. Thank you.
My second priority would be education. Because I do have a sister who is a teacher. She has to go out and spend her own money for supplies. Not only education, the health and welfare of the child that goes to the old public school. Because I did see that some child, they're very thirsty, hot water comes out of the faucet, later on, water just drips out. He basically have to suck on the pipe in order to get water. Those things that needs to be addressed immediately. As far as education, teachers need the proper tools to teach our children all the education that they can, especially being college prep, to get our kids prepped to get into college. Because I have noticed that today a lot of children are not prepped to get into college. SAT scores are very low. As far as affordable homes, I strongly agree on that as well. Affordable homes and rentals. Thank you.
You heard mine, ICE, which translates to crime and homelessness. However, number 3, education reform. They talk education, I talk education reform. $2 billion a year. When I started in 1990, DOE budget, $750 million. $2 billion now. They're pouring this money down a rat hole. Our tax dollars. Education reform. I will put bills in to require them to account for every nickel. In my business, I do estimating, project management, quality control. I watch every nickel. The DOE has been running rampant over our state. We should not be held hostage. And I do want to give teachers a good raise. My first wife is a teacher in San Diego. $65,000 a year plus cost of living. They don't have to go on strike. Thank you.
Thank you, candidates. And again, we're going to begin with you, Mr. Alexander. This question: thousands of homes are still being built by Gentry and Haseko. Do you feel the developers should be responsible to build roads, to help alleviate, I believe, to help alleviate traffic within the community? Read it again. Thousands of homes are still being built by Gentry and Haseko. Do you feel the developers should be responsible to build roads to help alleviate traffic within the community? Jeff?
My fourth pick is overdevelopment. It's terrible. It's half built up the Fort Weaver Road corridor. Can you folks visualize in 10 years the housing, the traffic? No amount of roads is going to catch up. Yes, developers should be held responsible. I've been pushing for that for years. However, a lot of our elected officials are hired by developers, such as Senator Espero. I will not work for a developer, I will work for you, the only job I will have. It should be outlawed that our elected officials work for developers.
My answer is yes. And yes, we've been fighting this. I've been fighting this along with the neighborhood board for, I think, a couple of years. Now, by the end of this year, there's going to be a couple thousand more homes built. 2,000 more homes, estimated 2 cars per home, 4,000 more cars going out of Ewa Beach. And yes, definitely, I do hold all developers in Ewa Beach responsible. As a matter of fact, if I do get into office, I would try to do something to expedite them to even help them just build that road with their own money if I could. Okay, thank you.
Well, right now we are requiring developers to build more roads. But what has government done with that money? Do you know that many years ago, before Ever by Gentry was built, there were some impact fees that the government was collecting? And did you know that a particular politician used that money to make Waikiki pretty, instead of giving it back to the people of Ewa Beach? I think we need to hold government accountable, and the money that they collect from us in our taxes should go to roads. Government raided almost $1 billion of our taxpayer money from the highway fund. That could have went to the North-South Road, that could have went to widening Fort River Road, everything would have been done by now. But no one held government accountable. I said I'd stop the raid of the highway fund, and during my term, it was never raided again. Thank you.
That's an excellent question. I guess it's focused on the wrong set of politicians here, because building permits are issued by the city and county. Those are controlled by the mayor. And I had several meetings with Mufi Hanneman about holding construction, holding development until we have enough infrastructure. But I guess the mayor has to let go of this project because he said there's homelessness, there's need for more housing. So he cannot stop development because we need housing. That is his reason. So if you'll help me, tomorrow you call Mufi Hanneman and tell him to stop giving building permits. D.H. Horton, EAH are all coming to town. If you are to help us here, it is through the mayor's office because they're the one giving the building permits. I can only lobby the mayor, and I've had several meetings with him. He won't back off. They're still going to issue these building permits regardless of what the traffic studies are.